All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to our pre-meeting. So, starting off with old business.
Sure, I can first introduce our new finance director, Scott Boyskircher. You all received his resume. He started yesterday and very happy to have him on board. Welcome, Scott.
Cool. All right, on to old business. So the home rule charter update. This is where I'll be looking to you first. Did Max agree?
Yes, Max. Max
All right.
told me that there was nothing new to report.
Good
job.
Which is true.
But he did mention that it was an ongoing agenda item and that we are continuing to monitor the progress.
Yeah, just to recap, looking to get this on a November ballot, right? So we have some time, it's in like 120, whatever the day's number is. And 7, right?
So,
Start thinking of friends.
so it's a two-part thing. So you're right. It's a combination of getting the referendum and also getting the names.
Okay. Which is simultaneous at the same time.
Simultaneous.
Yeah. Okay, so pick of 7 people, anyone that reside in the borough. Interested.
I don't know, our council people like from this.
I don't know what the qualifications are,
I think Max said they have to be independent.
Okay.
but that would make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
They're kind of CHP type independent.
So would the rest of our committees and advisory board people also be included from sports for that spot?
Don't let you.
But they've already volunteered once, so maybe they volunteer for that.
Yeah, probably not.
But I think it's like a 2-year study period.
Up to.
Up to 2 years study, and so it takes a while.
Yeah. Can't even get started unless you get 7 people elected.
Up to 2, but doesn't have to be 2.
18 months we heard.
Although I think if you got 4 elected, you at least have a quorum, so
Yeah.
you can only try to find.
Okay.
At least 1.
It's interesting.
That's progress.
All right, there you go.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, on to new business. Review the March 20th, 2024 regular agenda.
Nothing new since Friday. No.
Okay, good resolutions.
Maybe this is a thin question. I read this and refresh my memory on the Emma Gross subdivision. Which one is that?
That's the one down beside this first church here on the left. It's an older house and the gentleman
Where
who
she
bought it.
cleared all the woods in there.
Yeah, so the gentleman who bought it put a private lane back there for 2 lots behind that house.
Yeah, we extended that one at one point. Then we didn't she have an initial application and we had to extend the time frame on that?
I think so. I think that might have been the case.
First time. Okay, I was thinking that was across from the Franklin Inn, basically.
Yes,
Yeah, I was thinking that's what it was, but we haven't really talked a lot about that.
yeah, no, it's pretty non-eventful development. All that it is a private lane that we're bonded on.
Is he gonna build back there?
Okay, thank you. I thought that was it, but I wanted to be sure.
You're good to summarize these 3, right?
Yep. It's at least I did.
Of course. Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay. All right.
Just like it sounds, it looks wise picture.
Yes.
One question on the HVAC contract with everyone. I know for the last few years, it's been both from bid, did we bid that and it's been.
Yeah, they were a couple $100 more.
We got 2 quotes.
Okay,
And
this is a good size of this thing.
yeah, we wanted to make a change. We feel comfortable with it.
And needed to make a change, and so we reached out. So I think some of their costs were a little bit more, but
I think others were a little bit less, so it's kind of.
I feel it's worthwhile making the change.
All right, on to, let's see, got that out of the way, manager report discussion item. This is the governance of the ambulance authority. Give me like project context, and then can fill in the gaps. Okay, so, some of this, we received the emails, basically, we did talk about this, I think, not last time, but the time before. So this is the ambulance authority and our situation of, Franklin Park is continuously paid in. The canvas is done paying in kind, and the other three municipalities have not paid in. They made an audit. Now it's to the point where I was supposed to, had committed to paying, I think it was 40 or 80,000, forgot what the amount was. They're refusing to pay unless, first they're at an order before they commit to paying. The other two seem to not have any interest in paying or even a board seat. Pine is asking for, idle time, the cost of idle time. So if you're a consulting or law firm, it's basically bench time. That's what I got. And of course, our board member, one of our board members reached out, turned into a dire financial situation. They are seeking guidance, and Christel and company are willing to meet with us to discuss this. So I think we should discuss this and throw some options, see what thoughts are. And you also have letters over your thoughts on this and reached out this evening.
Yeah, what I get from the meeting with managers is that, they don't believe we should look at governance until they've figured out exactly what the finances are with the ambulance authority. They feel like they don't have that information,
That's a ridiculous thing.
and they're gonna wait for it. And then they'll decide if they want to have a seat on the board. They're also asking that we look at, one of the options for governance that was, highlighted by the consultant they hired, which is a municipal compact, which basically is you pick one municipality who runs the ambulance authority, and the rest of us have I guess it's kind of a cooperative agreement that we all kick in the finances where needed. And they recommend on the canvas running ambulance authority, the ambulance service, and that we disband the authority is what they're asking us to consider.
That would disband the authority.
They want to disband the authority and write it on the canvas.
And then they just bill us for what we were supposed to pay.
Correct.
Jason Sayer called me, we traded voicemails, I have not spoken to him yet, he has a canvas, he specifically said his voicemail that was about the ambulance authority. As soon as I talk to him, I'll update everyone. He has to say.
I thought the ambulance authority gave a certain legal and certain advantages to becoming an authority, like the water, and it's just like,
Right.
kind of like a public utility type thing. I'm not sure giving that up is a good idea.
No, it's a terrible. And the fact that they are still saying that they don't know what their finances are after an audit of 2 years.
Which they paid for.
Right, which they paid for. The ambulance authority has provided whatever they've asked for, they provided to us on a regular basis. It's just not an accurate statement. As far as I knew, Pine had committed. I think
That's
40,
right.
I think you're right.
They also have a $30+ million surplus, if I'm not mistaken, in their budget,
Something huge like that.
which will continue to grow as they continue adding more development. So they're asking for idle time, which honestly, I thought the authority should say zero, because everything is.
Yeah, the last mayor's meeting, Chris made the comment that they actually make money when they do a transport. It's the idle time that it hurts them, and, you know, the response of the other managers was, "Oh, that's the first time we heard that. We understood that you lost money on every transport." That's kind of the way it was phrased by the previous administration. Some others saying, "Well, we want to know what that is. We want to know how much you're making on each call, and how much it's costing you for idle time." So they don't want to discuss a formula yet. They don't, you know, they don't want to talk about governance yet.
Meanwhile, we're just keep paying, right?
For subsidizing on,
Yeah,
right? That's what's happening here.
Yes.
The canvas, as far as I know, they committed to, I want to say around $60,000. They changed it a little bit, upped it a little bit when they before they passed the budget. I don't know if that's still the case. From his email saying that Pine's position is less clear, they've not committed to accepting a seat on the board if offered, and that they may not be committed to the Indians for the long term.
Right.
I thought they shopped around and basically were shut down.
Well, they,
That's Marshall, right? So Marshall went to Cranberry,
Marshall was
Cranberry
shut
said no. But maybe Pine.
I think I was looking at other options. as well.
Westview.
I think they went to Richland.
Was it West, somebody was looking at Westview. too.
Yeah.
I mean, Richland would make more sense with Pine.
Yeah, they have looked around, but they haven't found a willing partner.
So I'm not as familiar, but is there a dispatch center? So one of the board members, that Pine,
Pine at the fire station.
okay, and which is funded out of the authority, right? I'm guessing,
It is the, Pine manager had said that Pine pays for things like electricity and gas. I don't know how big.
but there's a cost associated with having that dispatch.
Yes,
To the authority itself.
Yeah, so if Pine is unwilling to pay, I mean, I don't think we do need to maybe the cameras to make sure we're in alignment here. But one of the thoughts is that that dispatch is, not disbanded, but like, we stop servicing that. The authority should stop servicing or providing that service as a part of the utility. It's costing money, you have a municipality that's benefiting substantially from it, that's not paying for it. So if they are benefiting and not paying, why should we provide that dispatch of it? You can reassign, if there are permanently assigned people there, bring them back to Franklin Park and the cameras down there, no problem. It might move the needle a little bit.
Or even over to our facility.
Yeah, we have one over there, right?
Right, that's, I mean, I'm not, we have the substation, I'm not
Yeah.
challenging that, but the MFPAA facility up on, what's it on, Wexford Run.
Grant School Road?
Grant School.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant,
Yeah.
our Franklin Park one.
And that makes perfect sense to me if they're not going to pay for that particular facility, which benefits their township, right? That's what it's.
Well, they're not paying into the authority, and
Yeah.
as a part of the authority,
Mhm.
it's funding that outpost.
Yeah.
And that outpost is servicing Pine.
Right.
Which is keeping the ambulance response rate incredibly low, so. And this idea was floated to me by a board member, him and Campus, on the authority, he's in the ER position, I think. If you were to remove that, the ambulance response time would substantially increase, which would be a detriment to their service. So it might force them into this. But I'm not sure what the response rate average is now, but if it's 5 minutes, it could go to like 15, given the distance.
As far as we know, this is not McCandless's idea. He's being the authority.
Yeah, it's, well, McCandless is part of the group of municipalities that paid for that study. And, you know, the study had 3 recommendations. One of them was this compact, and the other 2 kept it as an authority, but changed the structure.
Meeting the breakup of the breakdown of seats.
Exactly.
Which we want to do from the league.
Did it have a recommended composition of seats, or was it? applicable?
I think they went with one with weighted and one with everybody gets a vote. And, yeah, they were just laying out options
Yeah,
for
I mean,
people to
it's,
consider.
it's an option.
But, as far as McCandless, whether they wanted to dissolve the authority, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, they were part of the study, but at the last managers meeting, it was asked that Franklin Park and McCandless consider going with the compact and dissolving the authority. So I don't know if they discussed it without me, because I think a lot of the conversations I'm not a part of.
So dissolve the authority, if you run out of McCandless.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, right? I mean, population might be the largest, but what would that do to like ambulance response time? Would that,
That shouldn't change the operations, what they're saying, it's just that the oversight would be from McCandless administration.
sure, but it doesn't change whether Pine, Marshall, and Bradwoods will pay.
Right, they would still have to agree in some form.
And Pine has made it clear that they're not sure they even want to see on the board at this point, because they're not comfortable with the ambulance authority.
I mean, another option is, okay, so Franklin Park is paying, right? The canvas is in kind.
And then
They're done
around, supposedly around 60,000 they committed to this year, I believe,
in cash. Okay, and that's on top of like whatever they're in kind.
which
Yeah,
really.
my understanding is every municipality, my understanding is every municipality committed something, Cash, I think
Yeah.
Brett was
Okay.
at 5,000. I don't
Yeah,
recall
some-
what Marshall was, but it might have been something like 40. But I think they all made a one-time commitment, and they made it clear it's one time only until they get the answers.
He did say, if Jay did consider.
Yeah.
He said, we strongly encourage the representatives and the candidates to include with the vote to restructure our board in Rankin Park to extend invitations to the other municipalities. They committed to do this as fast as possible. So I don't,
Except that from what I heard from managers, that's not gonna work.
Okay.
Because they've already come back to us and said, let's do the compact. They're not really interested in the.
I mean, the other thing that the authority can do is they can bill everyone at retail, whatever the retail rate is, like full cost plus sort of like administrative margin to cover their expenses. And Franklin Park, instead of committing money to the authority, can reimburse or offset what our members are charged when they're billed. I guess that's one thing that can occur. It's a thought, I mean, it's an idea, if no one is willing, if they're not willing to pay. I mean, we've always been willing to pay.
that's similar to what they did in Ross, right? That's if they have the support of municipalities. Right, it is basically what they did.
I think at this point, what Chris said, when we met with managers, a couple of weeks ago, he said that he expects by the end of April to have those numbers on what their idle time cost is. So I know what Jamie's saying, and I'm sure the board members all want to move forward with restructuring, but that simply is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Until after the April numbers come out, and then Pine discusses it as a board and Marshall as a board, and then they decide if this is appropriate and they want to be funded. So I don't think there's a whole lot we can do right now except wait.
I feel like they're never gonna be satisfied, but, Mr. Mayor, Dr. Lee, what do you think?
I think that I like the idea that if they don't want to contribute, and so we can, if they use the service, we can bill them and based on our estimate, it's like how much it will cost for each call, and then but my question would be whether we need to make the payment if we, if we charge them that, just like for each. And just like I mean, just that if we tell them how much it will cost, and for each act or something like that, and each visit or something, and whether be willing to pay for that or make a payment.
Do our payments drop because somebody else is actually paying their
Yeah.
fair share? Is the big question.
Um,
How could
Good
we
question.
get that?
so if everyone is billed like $1,500 for, I'm just making this up.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
$2,000. It's $2,000.
Mm.
The person that calls send a $2,000 bill. Let's assume that everyone is paying this. A Franklin Park resident gets a $2,000 bill for an ambulance company. Would that go down because they're paying? I mean, possibly. But everyone's paying the equal amount, and they're actually paying their utilizers, so they're paying, so.
Part of the argument being also that the municipalities were making was they're asking their residents to subscribe to the service. And then the AMS authority is asking for taxpayer money from the municipality. They're having a hard time selling to their residents who have already paid a membership, that now some of their tax dollars are supporting the AMS authority as well.
Yeah, but it's like Rankin Park, it's 17 to 19% of residents that are.
Right, it is,
Which,
correct, it's a very small.
exactly, so, while I understand that, I guess they can.
It's a significant, it's a really small, isn't it like another like $50 a household per year? If they use,
They just recently increased it, but it's still not much, it's
it's,
less than 100.
yeah, not the subscription, like the actual, like, if Marshall paid in or fine.
Oh, yeah.
On a per capita basis.
Exactly, per household basis.
Uh-huh.
But one of the questions they asked was, well, if we contribute to the AMS authority, does that mean all of our residents have free service?
They get the same, isn't the answer the same uniform service that Franklin Park and Camus?
Right, what they're saying is if taxpayer money is going to be used to subsidize the energy authority. It should benefit their residents, and the residents don't have to also fork out money for a membership or to pay for a service call. Because the municipality has already paid that for them by giving the energy authority money. And for that to happen, if they really wanted to do that, then the amount we would all contribute will go up quite a bit. Yeah, so we pay a lot more. I think until the numbers come out in late April, there's not gonna be a whole lot of movement, so I think we're gonna sit tight for another 6 weeks or so, and
Do we,
I'll talk to Jason and see,
Yeah.
see what he has to say. We clearly, I don't know if they're reaching out to try and figure it out. This week for us. You know,
yeah, they may have discussed as a group, the municipal compact as well.
as soon as I hear anything, we can, they do.
But the governance issue right now is definitely getting water into and getting more information.
is our financial situation worse than, because they were counting on the contribution from. Yeah.
It makes it tighter. I mean, they weren't looking at running out of money this year, but
Yeah.
we're seeing it coming at some point in the relatively near future, so they'll just, give a little bit big this year. But they'll survive through the year.
Okay. Do we want to have Costello come here? Do we want to meet with them? Is there any,
He invited you, Reed, and the council members that wanted to go on 20.
Yeah, that's a separate thing. They want to get accredited, and the organization that does the accrediting is going to be visiting them for a couple of days. So they invited each municipality, to have a manager and a council member. I mean, just to do the decision.
The 29 this month.
anybody can go?
I think
Anybody want to go?
You don't have to.
Don't volunteer once?
you're going on.
I think the Ambulance Authority understands our support.
Yeah.
So they don't take it as a slight, just on shock.
Yeah, someone, Chris wrote back.
So he'd be willing to,
Yeah, do we want to talk to them? So, have a candid conversation about this, or doesn't have to be at our council meeting, but I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure how much he really wants to discuss it in a meeting, because this is.
Yeah, okay, let's talk more. That's
Fairly
fairly
sensitive issue.
Just that's fine.
But you may want to meet with, you and I and Laura as vice president or something.
Yeah, so I mean, just in general, where do we stand on disbanding the authority? Sounds like a no. I would say no as well.
Yeah, but I'm not opposed to removing the satellite.
Right, or the members that refuse to contribute.
Yeah, we can remove them separately if they're not gonna contribute.
The three municipalities.
Yeah, I'm wondering why they're in this and, why we're supporting the entire thing on taxpayers' money for Franklin Park.
Right, especially when we have a deficit.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
That satellite location, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
I understand probably might be paying for electricity, but
Well, that won't happen anymore.
they don't have to anymore. There's a savings for them.
Yeah.
There,
Right, that's part of the fire.
they're still saving money. So, yeah, okay, so.
Yeah.
Keep the authority,
Mhm.
Tom, definitely, want to go down the route of keeping the authority. I mean, structurally it can change. I agree, it's got to change structurally, but
I just wanna know if I thought it would be wise to keep it on. If it's not, I wanna know what we're losing.
and what's the alternative?
Yeah. What's going on with the trade between an authority and a compact amongst the municipalities? What's the difference? Right?
Yeah, the study that they had done doesn't explain exactly what a compact is or how it works. It just says compact is not
That's,
run out of one of the municipalities. Then uses all the authority, and that's basically all it says.
right, so it's gotta be, Harlan's gotta be something to do with the.
So just, structurally,
Yeah.
a compact is essentially an intermunicipal agreement. So it's a contract.
Yeah.
With an authority, it's an ownership interest. And so, I mean, the obligations of the members of an authority and the parties to a contract probably are different.
Yeah.
historically, there were always advantages to authorities in terms of borrowing, lending, bond issues, financing, things like that. As a separate entity, the authorities always had a little bit of an advantage. It's not so much true anymore even, but, I think in terms of liabilities and things like that, you are always better off with an authority to give you that protection than you are running it as a compact or running it through an agreement. And,
I mean, as a compact, the ownership would shift from them.
well, it sounds to me like what they're,
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds to me like what they're talking about is making McCandless the primary, servicer, so to speak. And then, that would also mean that in your agreement, you would probably have to reassign the exposures and the liabilities of the contracting parties. So, McCandless would probably, if they were going to take primary responsibility, they would probably want the other parties to the compact to indemnify them, to hold them harmless.
Certificate of additional insured, but we're
Right.
dealing with the issue of the Municipal Tort Claims Act, right? So you've got Municipal Tort Claims Act, which whoever's the actual municipality, let's say it's McCandless, they're good on their immunity, right? And they're able to insure for what was $500,000, I think that they're exposed to.
Right, so
under
the
their
immunity,
right.
would apply, and there would be limits on any kind of recovery.
Yeah.
But even with immunity,
Yeah.
if an ambulance hits somebody,
Right.
you don't have immunity, right?
Mhm.
It's an exception. So insurance, but all I'm saying is, you should talk to Max about it, but I know conceptually, the difference between an authority is you are part owner in the entity. With a compact, you're parties to an agreement, and contractual rights and obligations do tend to be different from those of an equity interest holder.
I mean, and there are things that can be actually like parceled out, however people want to negotiate them, right? I don't think they're limited by the MPC, so, somebody may want 20% of the stuff and somebody want 80%, whatever, how they're parceling it out. And then it's enforceable in court because of the contract.
Right, it's a
It's not-
contract,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
if one of the parties ends up being a deadbeat and doesn't want to pay, you can take them to court, sue them, and all that stuff. Now, it doesn't look to me like you have those rights under the authority. And you're stuck with the Municipal Authorities Act for how to govern, but yeah, it's different. I don't know that one is necessarily better than the other, but there are definitely going to be pros and cons to each.
We need to look at that before we make it.
Yeah, just without knowing the details, sounds like McCandless was on a lot of risk.
Yeah,
Yep.
which it seems through their actions, the last few years, they're trying to get away from that. So I'm surprised that they didn't really consider that.
Well, they take on a lot of risk, but the key to the contract or the compact, if you will, is they can, as Brian pointed out, they can spread that risk through negotiation. So it's a contract negotiation, and they can, like I said, they can insist that you hold them harmless. They can insist that you indemnify them.
Yeah.
So there's risk shifting that can take place in a contract negotiation.
And that's not an authority, everybody's an owner, so they're all equal.
You're all equally responsible.
And maybe one of the other things, and we're just guessing here, is that they want control over the funding strings. Then they can send us a bill, whoever a bill, and then if they don't get paid, they can go to court and get paid.
Yeah.
It's not happening right now, but
But they're
the
not-
irony is it's us. It's not them, it's us that holds the bag right now. It's our taxpayers, not theirs.
And basically, thankfully, for the
Yeah,
authority, right?
yeah. So all of the capital assets, everything that's in that authority that we bankrolled and everything, they're suggesting that they're gonna take it over.
Right now, the ownership is Franklin Park and
Yeah.
McCandless, right?
And one of the other things, like if you if you eliminate the authority governance structure, you strip that away too. So, you don't have to worry about who's a voting member or who sits, how many seats does this one get or that one get? Because you don't have a governance at that point, you just have a agreement. There's some simplicity to that if you're having governance issues.
Yeah, but the same token, I mean, there's a squabble over finances and how, I mean, it could be as simple as like we have to replace a ambulance. If they're unwilling to pay as it is, kind of feel like the maintenance issues might hurt. We want to skip this. Okay,
Yeah, you need to have Max do a bit of an analysis.
okay. Yeah, you want to talk to Jason, we can just kind of see what thoughts are. And then you should talk after the fine. This is response. Okay. Laura, do you have any thoughts you want to weigh in?
She's,
If you're able
she's
to.
not my friend.
No, nothing to add.
Okay, we'll see where this goes and catch them in 2 weeks. Oh, anything else on this? Okay, if not, reports from council and mayor. Reach, do you have any of them items?
No,
Okay, reports from council and mayor. Brian,
I'm good tonight.
okay, cool. All right, Laura,
No, nothing. Thank you.
mayor,
On the library proclamation, you want me to read that?
yeah, sounds good,
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it.
all right. Hey, I believe,
Two things, and one is, and I've been approached by people regarding with regard to the sound barrier and noise, something like that. So is there any update or so we still be able to do something and to explore and what will be the option and because people still complain that they especially and people living like near that and 79 and the noise and still and to some people is kind of like unbearable. So they have reached out to me and asking like, what should be done. And, does state still have something like a funding or grant to help deal with this issue?
Julie, I kind of remember this, the summary what happened here, that we were talking to the state about the idea of constructing a sound barrier. But in order for them to actually consider constructing a sound barrier, we had to go in on a pretty substantial study. Like our borough had to raise money to do a study. And so at that point, based on our budget and all the other issues that we have, we said, we cannot do that right now. We cannot go to PennDOT or whoever it is, Turnpike Authority, and say, here's our, $200,000 or $250,000 study on this. And now we need you to help us. We just don't have the money to do that right now. So,
yeah, I think that's where we're
Yeah.
at. There's a deadline
yeah,
based on like Dennis Forward.
Yeah.
And then penalties associated with not getting that work done, we
Right.
had to defer it.
right.
I mean, it's always an option for the future, for right now. It can't be present, he's in Ward 1, right? I mean, we can meet with him collectively if you want.
Mhm. So that's the problem. We just don't have the money to pay for a study to go to PennDOT, to say we could Turnpike, say we need help with this.
I think it's even more than that. Weren't we also advised that it's highly unlikely that PennDOT, even if we came in with a study, it was highly unlikely that they would agree to support the project anyway?
Well, yeah, because totally they do these projects when they're in the middle of building this stuff, not
Yeah,
after.
so the construction of the interchange, I thought is supposed to
Yeah.
start this fall, like the staging, all that stuff at the Warrendale Exchange right now. They did not want to, from their perspective, they do not see an issue here, and the priority is building that flyover.
And the other issue is that where would you put the sound barrier? Because it looked like it would mostly have to fall into private property and it wasn't gonna be on. There wasn't like a right of way that the Turnpike build it there. That's the other
Yeah.
issue. Yeah. So,
So,
yeah,
if my understanding is correctly, it's just, our borough need to raise a huge fund and to support like the initial study, some study, and even like there is issue with the and noise or something, and the PennDOT may not have, and or may not have enough funding to
or interest.
establish or
Yeah.
construct some barrier.
Yeah.
I mean, just initial assessment is
Mhm.
private property was a logical, place for it. But yeah, the primary issue is funding.
Yeah, I think we said it's about, around $1 million.
I think you're, yeah.
Do the
It's
initial
around a
study
million
and
just
then-
for the sound study.
So you do the sound study, you give it to them, and they go, nah, we're not doing that. So now we're at $1 million, which is what, 10% of that? That's no good. You can't do that.
Oh, second thing is regarding the scholarship, and looks like this year we have, the borough has got a lot of.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
I like the idea to increase the number and from the 10 to 12. But based on the number of the applications, we have like 32, right?
33.
33. And usually, and on average, and how many applications we can get?
Last year was 14.
It's varied. Last year was 14, but it's usually in the 20s.
20s, and so usually we pick like 10, right?
We, in the past, we've normally picked 10 to 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since that this year we have 32, 33, so shall we increase the number a little more?
Well, I think it depends. We funded out of the scholarship fund.
Yeah,
we
the
have enough
scholarship
funds?
committee agreed to raise the scholarship amount from 1,000 to 1,500 this year. Because it hadn't been raised in
Oh,
forever.
so
Yeah.
that's why.
And then she recommended 12.
Yeah.
So overall,
They're-
overall pot of money goes up anyways.
Mm.
Okay.
That's-
Yeah, so the overall funding of that, the overall money handed out goes up.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty
Plus,
big
plus
swell.
a few more people.
I believe the fund has about 30,000 in it,
Mhm.
and 12 scholarships would be $18,000.
Mhm. So that saves some, and then you raise money in your next call outing, and
Right.
you're able to do the next one, so.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to pay for all the scholarships. I think we're limited by our funding.
If like, the number 12 candidate and the number 13 candidate are so close, and then I always go back to this committee and say, hey, can't we just add one too?
There you go.
And they always agree. to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
If it's
That
that
sounds good.
close.
yeah.
then we
So there's an
make it work.
adjustment there.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because this year looks like we have a lot, and
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of like the really and great kids,
Yeah,
and
they're-
they just that they're
Yeah.
so.
I mean,
Yeah.
GPAs of 0.7.
Yeah.
How do you even get that?
Yeah, that's,
Uh,
that's AP and honors
Yeah.
classes combined with like getting the top of those classes. So that's-
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's why what I'm saying that we don't want to disappoint those kids,
Right.
who have done like an excellent, wonderful job,
Yeah, normally you see a point where there's a drop off.
Yeah.
In the ratings, everybody, on the sergeant committee takes a different approach to it, which is good. That's what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be, and then we combine them all.
But one of the things that's driving it too is that the federal government's FAFSA has been delayed multiple times.
Yeah.
So it's pushing people to go look for private money. And so scholarship applications are up everywhere right now because nobody knows how much the school they committed to is going to cost them. So,
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm done.
Julie, let's get the sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Two things. So the Jerry Box fundraiser's up. I don't know if anyone's seen the table, but spread the word. And then next week, it's next Wednesday, I'm scheduled for a ride along with the ambulance authority. Yeah,
Good for you.
I'm very excited for that.
All set.
Yes.
Only one thing, I was at a meeting the other evening, and one of, the people at the meeting is a resident in the third ward, and he said that his polling place is changing. And 3-1 poll is going to this church for the primary. And I didn't know if any, one right at the corner of the, by Bellwood.
Tom, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
Was it supposed to be, is that from moving from the middle school? Is that what 3-1?
Yeah, 3-1.
Everyone was always the middle school.
Right, he pulled out of the middle school and going there for this primary. This is a guy that's a judge of elections, 3-1. So he said he was notified, and they said they would be mailing letters to all of the residents in 3-1, telling them of the change. I believe what he heard, it was the primary time up in.
And he knows because he's judge of election.
Judge of election.
Yeah, the rest of the people have no idea that this has happened.
Yeah, because we just
Yeah.
got the
They- they-
notice when the
Jeff,
primary
yeah.
was.
Jeff lives in 3-1.
They haven't notified us at all.
Not that I'm aware of, like I said, we just, this
Nice.
week, we have received the notice when the primary is, that's the only notice.
Does that church have any other, polling places there, or is that the only
No,
one?
that'd be the only one.
That's weird.
And what was interesting was 3-1 was always at the, I believe at Englewood Middle.
Right, and then they moved one of
No.
Ward 2 over there.
3-3s.
The 3-3s at
And then
Englewood Middle.
2
Three,
something.
and 3-2.
Is that-
No, 3-3 and 2-2.
Yes,
Two,
it's
two, there's a 2 and a
It's
3.
the doubles, so they're moving. He said maybe it's 3-3 going over there. But
Used to be
they're
something-
definitely making a change because they don't want Ingmar to be a double poll anymore.
Are they eliminating double polls maybe?
Well, they said that apparently the school was too tight for a double poll.
And why would they move one that's been there historically instead of one they just moved in 2 elections?
Yeah, I know. I don't know the whole story, but I was curious if the borough had been notified of that change. And I think it would be something to double check Jeff on, but he's pretty reliable. And he said he spoke to them, they've already, decided it would be done here. And,
It means a whole nother board of elections over there.
yeah, it's just gonna be confusion to do that with little or no notice.
Yeah, well, people be going to the other one and then getting told they gotta go to the.
Yeah, I mean, people still show up in St. John Newman.
Yeah.
So if it's true, what we heard from Jeff, our judge of elections there, he said that the school, I think, complained about having that many people in there, even though the only thing they do is provide some custodial service. The school's never open the night of the day of the election, so.
I was there, I didn't say anything. You were there too, there was nothing particularly disturbing there, but.
No, it was only in that front lobby area.
He said that the janitorial staff that would set up a table, they did nothing but complain the entire day for the last election. So he's not sure if that's the reason, but he suspects that something like that occurred. But in any, I just thought if the borough, my question was, has the borough been notified? So it doesn't sound like they have been. Right.
And that's the 23rd, so you have another month.
Yeah, it's just like a month or so away.
Good luck finding the board to serve that relocation.
Well, I think we should maybe contact the election board, Kathy, or read, just to verify that. I just heard that
I'll give them a call.
Monday evening, I heard that, so kind of hot news for Jeff, it's just, hopefully they were gonna do it just close.
I'll look into it.
Because we would be, to be certain that the election board or somebody's gonna redirect all the people that probably don't read their mail or miss it. and
Right,
they're gonna
we
come
could
to-
put notices out on Facebook, on the
Yeah.
website.
Verify that it's true first.
Right,
obviously.
obviously.
That's what we heard.
Yeah, when they moved St. John Newman, it was a bit of a cluster, like first few elections.
Okay, nothing else in there, thanks.
Cool. Okay. Do we have time for executive session?
Yes.
Should we go?
And Laura's